Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So the wait is finally over, Mr. Mash. The Halloween season is upon us.
Yeah, Christmas! Oh, wait, what did I just say? Man, Nate, Halloween have my soul forever.
Being horror fans, we wait all year round for the start of the Halloween season. And it seems like it starts earlier and earlier most years. It used to be the world didn't give a shit about Halloween until October 1st. And now, by the start of September, most everybody is ready to go. Mm-hmm. I don't start celebrating Halloween really start celebrating it towards the end of September. And now I feel like I'm behind. Everybody else starts their Halloween celebrations the 1st of September. They say, okay, September 1st, summer's over, let's get spooky.
I start whenever I get the Halloween bug. That's when I start watching my horror movies.
That's true of me, too. Usually it's about the middle of July is when I want it to be Halloween. I got that feeling. I wanted it to be cooler outside. I wanted leaves to fall out of the trees. I wanted pumpkins on my front porch. We're big Halloween aficionados. And why do you think it's your favorite season? Is Halloween your favorite season because of the connection with horror movies, or are horror movies your favorite because of the connection to Halloween?
Really neither. The time of year has a very different feel to it than any of the other holidays. It has a very distinct feel to it. As it gets closer to Halloween, there's even a different kind of smell in the air.
Everything smells like pumpkin spice.
It feels right. It's the one holiday of the year that you can let loose, and one holiday a year where it's perfectly legal to dress up as a crazy person and go out and scare the shit out of people.
Halloween is the only objectively good holiday.
Yeah.
There's no obligation to see friends or family. You don't have to interact with any other people.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to. It's the only holiday where we go to the doors of strangers and expect to be given a gift. They don't even do that shit during Christmas, and that's supposedly the season of giving. It's the only holiday that's really about actually having fun. All the other holidays, there's some sort of familial obligation.
Even Thanksgiving, which is literally just a holiday about eating.
I hate Thanksgiving, but that's a different show.
Still have to go and see people. You have to kind of dress up.
You have to be around your extended family. And who wants to do that? And I hate the food. I don't like turkey and mashed potatoes. Dressing, it's all starchy shit. I've always said that we need to replace Thanksgiving with steak and lobster day. You, by yourself, go and get a steak and lobster dinner and you eat it by yourself. That would be my preferable option to Thanksgiving.
That's way off topic.
That's the other holiday. Theme of tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about our 10 favorite Halloween traditions. Since this is a general laid-back Halloween-themed episode, I've got some general Halloween questions for you. The costumes. Do you believe that the Halloween costume has to be scary?
Not necessarily, but I do prefer a scary costume.
People can dress up however they want on Halloween. I'm obviously not going to tell the college girls that they can't dress up as the slutty nurses or whatever.
My basic rule with the Halloween costume is that it needs to be creative.
It needs to reflect your personality in some way.
If you want to do a plain zombie, that's fine, but take the time to do the makeup. Don't buy a mask.
Well, there are a lot of people who just go to the store at the last minute and grab whatever they have on the shelf. People are doing Halloween wrong.
Really, you should start thinking about what you're going to do at least 2 weeks in advance.
For you and I, we start thinking about next year's Halloween costume on November 1st.
I usually do the same thing every year, but I try to change it up a little.
You're usually a vampire, right?
Vampire or a zombie. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to Halloween. I like the traditional monsters because I believe that they are still scary.
I'm of the opinion that a Halloween costume preferably is scary. I have this wacky belief that on Halloween night, you're supposed to take a little power away things you're afraid of by dressing up as them.
Well, didn't you dress up as the summer movie season one year?
I'm a hypocrite. I break my own rules. I did that at least twice
But
where
it's creative.
I made a costume that was an amalgamation of all the big movies that summer. But last year I was the Babadook for Halloween, and this year I'm going to be a Satanist. It should have something to do with the Halloween season or the horror concepts in some way. If you're just taking a regular costume and making a version of it with a bunch of cleavage and in a mini skirt, that's a waste to me. But preferably it should be a frightening costume. But you do you, people.
Look at Hocus Pocus. That movie backs us up on this guys. I smell children, but I do not see them. The witches don't attack the kids because they're dressed up as ghouls.
They say the mythological basis of the scary costumes is to frighten away the spirits. That's what they say in Halloween or All Hallows Night or Samhain, whatever you want to call it. Has always
Samhain.
Yeah, or Samhain if you want to mispronounce it. Has always been about the spirits of the dead come back to Earth. That was always the thing with jack-o'-lanterns and the scary costumes, they're always meant to protect you from the spirits that may be hostile.
Now, the jack-o'-lanterns, they are a protection.
Some people all say, hey, I start celebrating Halloween on September 18th, and they look at me like, Halloween's the 31st of October, it's one night. And that's fucking bullshit. It is not one day, it is a season.
Well, that's like Christmas. Christmas is only one day.
Christmas lasts for 3 fucking months.
Right?
Halloween is not a day, it's a season. If I want to get philosophical here, it's the only time of year I really feel spiritual at all. This is the only time of year where I really feel connected with history and with any spiritual connection with the rest of the world. Obviously, we love the season, and there are a lot of reasons why we love the season. Today, we're going to be talking about 10 specific things we love about the Halloween season. We each thought of 5 things that we love to do, some of our favorite traditions. Alright, so let's start our top 10 favorite Halloween traditions.
Ooh, it's here. FIM's Halloween Sell-a-thon. Chicagoland's largest selection of Halloween costumes, accessories, and decorations. Everything you need to make your Halloween really scary. Thousands of costumes to choose from. Over 200 styles featuring Disney characters like Mickey, Minnie, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and more. Plus costumes for Mom and Dad, too. Extra bonus 3 for the price of 1. Buy 1, get 2 free. Buy 1 accessory item at the original ticketed price, get 2 free. Buy 1 mask or wig, get 2 free. Buy 1 party supply, get 2 free. Halloween Sell-a-thon going on now at FIM, the Halloween Giant. 5 locations. Elsa, Broadview, Calumet City, Chicago, and Downers Grove.
My number 5 is visiting a Halloween store. Now, how many times this year have you and I, either separate or together, visited our local Halloween store?
The store's only been open for about 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Together, we have probably visited about 5 times.
And I think I've been there twice by myself, and you've been there twice by yourself.
I've been there more than twice by myself.
Well, yeah, this year's Halloween store is right next to where you work. You just get off work a little early so you could go next door to the Halloween
we have
store.
year-round Christmas stores. Why don't we have year-round Halloween stores, damn it?
Well, I feel you, man. I wish we could have a little spooky corner all year round. The thing with the Halloween store, they're pop-up businesses that usually go into an empty store. The biggest chain is Spirit
Yeah,
store.
Spirit of Halloween.
We have one here in our town, in a bigger location than it was last year. I don't know how it is in more economically prosperous areas of the country, but in our area, there's always a couple of stores that are closed. The Halloween store usually moves into the closed areas, and they're wonderful. It's my happy place. You go in, there's usually some spooky or retro music playing, and they have everything you associate with the season, except for candy. Not all of them carry candy.
Right.
Hundreds of costumes, every variation of costume you could think of. They have all sorts of decorations, some of which are hugely elaborate. Our Spirit of Halloween, you walk through the door, the first thing you see is this giant spooky tree display.
Full of animatronics.
Yeah, giant Cerberus that sprays fog out of its mouth, and an animated werewolf, skeleton on a swing that talks to you. This year they have a spooky elevator set up in the back where they have animatronic dummies that you press a button and they scream or move around or what have you.
Yeah.
It's so much fun going to these places. And even if you don't buy anything, you can just go around and look at the skeletons and the ghosts and the costumes and the masks. We always go in and try on a couple of different masks. Both of us are secretly 6 years old. We pick up the prop weapons and fight each other.
Yeah, usually. I usually win.
Oh, I don't know about that. And another thing that's fun about the Halloween stores is you can see what some of the big costumes are this year just by looking at what's stock. This year, the biggest costume is Harley Quinn and the Joker because Suicide Squad came out and was a huge hit.
Oh, no, that's going to be this year's big couple costume,
Oh, no doubt. Something else I love to do is look at the costumes that are similar to but legally distinct from copyrighted characters. You can get the bootleg Harley Quinn costume or you can get the bootleg Wednesday Addams costume. I love those. And really my only complaint about the costume selection, they've been putting out the same really lame Jason costume. A rubber hockey mask and a rubber machete and then a sports jersey with a hockey mask on it, which Jason never wore over any of the movies, and I do not know why that's the mass-produced, officially licensed Jason costume.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess people relate him to hockey.
I hate that. But you work in retail, JD. The store you work at has a smaller Halloween section.
Yeah, but they still get some pretty neat stuff in there.
What would you say, out of what you've seen, is the big kids costume this year?
I've actually seen a lot of the Lego minifig costumes go out this year, which
Those-
I actually think are pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, those are cool.
make you look like a minifig.
Yeah, they're blocky. I like those. I remember reading a poll once of the most traditionally popular Halloween costumes. For girls, number 1 is always princess. Usually some sort of superhero for boys, but ninjas are always big, and vampires and zombies have made a big comeback over the last few years.
Yes, they have.
Which I'm happy about. Visiting a Halloween store is something I absolutely have to do every Halloween season. My season is not complete without probably at least half a dozen visits to a Halloween store.
You're so lucky. You're still living. So you can watch American movie classics Monster Fest, a Halloween movie marathon starring Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and a regular who's who list of monster superstars. They're creepy, frightening, and only on AMC. It's 60 terrifying movies in 5 days.
So, what's your number 5 favorite Halloween tradition?
I love a good horror movie marathon during the season of Halloween. I love Monster Fest, well, it's Fear Fest now, on AMC. I know that it's tacky.
Not what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be, but damn it, I've watched it every year.
13, 14 years at this point.
So it's just something I have to do. Even if I only get to watch one movie during all the Fear Fest, I have done my job.
Walking Dead's taken over Fear Fest these days.
Not really, only on Sundays.
I've reminisced before about what American movie classics and their Monster Fest used to be originally in the late 90s and the early 2000s, when it was nothing but black and white classic horror movies for 2 weeks straight. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it wasn't as big name stuff as it is now.
They would show the Universal monsters, and they would show some Hammer movies and some Godzilla movies, stuff from the AIP library, and it was always a lot of fun. The first year I watched it, it was hosted by Whoopi Goldberg. One year they had John Carpenter host it. Viewers submit these 30-second long short films, and they would play those. They called them short screamers. Mm-hmm. And that was great fun. I loved that. These days I don't like it as much. It's all new stuff. It's all edited for commercials and content. It's not as much fun as it used to be.
Oh, I know. I remember when AMC didn't have commercials.
Yeah, oh boy, do I ever.
I remember they used to have a Tarzan marathon every 3 months, and that's how I've seen most of the Tarzan movies that I've seen.
The channel's way more commercialized, but I definitely feel your need. During October, there's always some network showing horror movies.
And I've gotten to the point now where I just do my own horror movie marathon.
Are there certain things you have to watch every year?
The Halloween franchise in general, and I don't care if there's some shitty ones in there. Now that I own the whole series, I have to watch
all 9 of those movies?
All 9 of those movies.
4 and 5 are always on TV, it seems.
Well, yeah, but they're better when you watch them on Blu-ray.
I know you try to watch the Universal Monster movies every October.
And I try to watch those every October.
It's not the Halloween season without watching a bunch of horror movies. Usually you can turn on the TV and find something. Late into October, even the channels that don't normally show horror movies are showing horror movies.
I love it. Love a good monster movie marathon.
It's a very important part of the season.
Oh, and I always watch Monster Squad.
Of course. My number 4 Halloween tradition, this is one that's going to take a little bit of explaining. There's a website I follow. It's called Dinosaur Dracula. If you haven't heard of it, I highly recommend it. It's a nostalgia, toy, junk food, movie-themed blog. The guy who runs that blog, his name's Matt. He really knows how to do the Halloween season. He does it for basically 2 whole months. But a tradition he introduced me to a tradition that now I'm doing every year. This is a way to make October 1st special. When you're like us, and you celebrate the Halloween season for 6 weeks or 2 months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. You really need a way to make October 1st special, because that is the definitive start of the Halloween season for everybody. I have this tradition called the Halloween Mood Table. Find a corner of your house that's unoccupied, you put a table down, big or small, it can be any size, and you cover that table in as much Halloween bullshit as you want. There are 3 things that every Halloween mood table needs to have: candy, some spooky books, and some spooky movies. Other than that, the sky's the limit. Mine is usually filled with toys and all sorts of decorations. And the purpose of the Halloween mood table is the rest of your house can be whatever. But with the Halloween mood table, you have one specific corner of your house that is all Halloween all the time. It's like a little shrine to the season. And when you're next to that table, it's Halloween 24/7. Didn't you tell me you're going to try and make a mood table this year?
I started out to try to do it, and then my grandmother unofficially did it. She never told me she was going to do it. I happened to notice that this one table kept getting more and more Halloween-y. She's got this little jack-o'-lantern vase that she filled with some flowers.
Cool.
Bat-shaped plates that she put on there. Up in her one candle sign, she's got a little skeleton witch.
Cute.
She found this mask at the Goodwill that looks really freaking creepy, and she set that up so it looked like a severed head.
Sounds like Mama's doing the Halloween mood table right. I've already got plans for this year's mood table, let me tell you.
Look what's rising out of the pumpkin patch this Halloween. The pumpkin cutter, a great way to let your kids carve their own pumpkins without sharp edges that cut little hands. It even makes toothy grins easy to do. The pumpkin scoop removes seeds and pulp better than any spoon. And the pumpkin light replaces dangerous candles with glowing results. Have a great pumpkin this Halloween with the pumpkin cutter, pumpkin scoop, and pumpkin light.
What's your number 4 favorite Halloween tradition, Mr. Mash?
It's the pumpkin patch. Around here where we live, a tradition that they used to do with elementary kids, I don't know if they still do it or not.
They better.
About 2 weeks before Halloween, they would take a field trip to the local pumpkin patch, and you got to pick out a pumpkin. And then you took that home and you carved that pumpkin. We call it the pumpkin patch, but it's really like a farm stand that we go to now.
Locally, we have this wonderful little fresh produce store that gets pumpkins around September.
They're a little higher than your big retailers, but usually the quality is way better.
Well, What's cool about that place is they have more than just pumpkins. They have all sorts of weird gourds. For this place, I've discovered this thing called a Geridol, which is a lot like a pumpkin, but it's bright green. So now every year I got to get one of those.
They have a white pumpkin there that I have my eye on.
Yeah, this huge white pumpkin. They have all sorts of weird stuff like that. But what I really remember about the field trips to the pumpkin patch, I remember doing that once. What I remember about it is a farm, and the farmer had taken a hay bale and put great big eyes on it and put legs into it, so it looked like a giant spider.
Yeah.
I remember that.
He used to have a little hayride that you went on, too.
What was so fun about that, obviously as kids, we loved Halloween, but it was very rare for an adult to acknowledge Halloween as this huge fun thing. Those field trips to the pumpkin patch, the establishment was acknowledging the Halloween tradition in a really fun way.
Are our kids going to be twisted?
Fuck yeah. The carving of the pumpkin is obviously something many, many people do. If you don't carve a jack-o'-lantern, you're doing it wrong.
One of the most important traditions of any Halloween celebration. You have to carve at least one pumpkin, although I'm probably going to end up with 5 or 6 carved pumpkins by the end of this year.
Yeah, usually.
The year before that, I did 2 really cool pumpkins. One that was a disemboweled pumpkin.
Usually you deseed the pumpkin before you carve it. In this scenario, you don't deseed it. You cut out the mouth, and then you yank the pumpkin guts out so that it's a puking pumpkin. Or like you did, where you carved a face, and then a little slit underneath of the face so it was like a pumpkin that had been disemboweled. It depends on how squishy you're willing to get.
If I'm elbow deep in a pumpkin, I'm not going to care what I'm getting on me. And then I did one that looked like he had fallen over. His head had spilled open. His brains had fallen out.
Yeah, I remember being in the 5th grade, and one year we carved pumpkins in school. Can you fucking imagine that now? Hey, 10-year-old kid, here's a knife.
We did it when I was in kindergarten one year.
Yeah, I know they have child-safe cutting implements.
I remember my 1st grade teacher, we had carved the pumpkins and taken the seeds out, and then she took the seeds home and then roasted them for us and brought them in as our snack for that day.
Well, yeah, a lot of people cook the pumpkin seeds.
Well, I do that every year now. That's part of my pumpkin carving tradition.
People have been carving jack-o'-lanterns since the Druid days. That's a ritual that's essential because it connects you with a very long tradition. One of the big reasons for the season for me.
And that's like one of the mainstay costumes every year.
Is the pumpkin, yeah. It used to be a really popular baby costume. When I was 2 years old, my Halloween costume that year was a jack-o'-lantern. My number 3 Halloween tradition is either the corn maze or the haunted attraction. It's become a tradition with a female friend of mine. Next state over, there's a farm and they have fresh produce and they sell pumpkins and they have a little petting zoo. But also there, they have a huge corn maze. For about 4 years now, every year we've gone over there and we've done the corn maze. I'm not a country person in the least. I hate getting dirt on me. I think people who camp are psychotic. Give me the cold laser bath. But to be able to go out onto a farm and be surrounded by nature and rustic homegrown things, it's fun to do for a few hours. And what's really great about the corn maze, when it's just you and the person you're with in the middle of the maze and there's nobody else that you can see or hear, all you hear is the wind blowing through the corn rows. It's fucking magical. There is a sibling activity to the corn maze. The haunted attraction, the haunted house, the haunted hayride, whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, I don't get to do this as often as I'd like to. The female friend I mentioned doesn't like super scary things all that much. And you have weird stick up your ass about haunted attraction.
I have no problem scaring the shit out of people. When that shit comes after me, I turn into the stereotypical loudmouth, scared person in the movie theater that's yelling. I have almost hit people numerous times at a haunted trail.
Well, it doesn't matter because this year I'm dragging you to a haunted trail.
All right, that's fair.
For me, it was a haunted trail, and I used to do it every year for a long time. And it was always a lot of spooky fun. The only time I can remember being scared at a haunted trail, they always took you through the woods, so it was real secluded and weird. The only time I can remember being scared is I was talking to a friend, and then I look over my shoulder, talk to this person I was with. There was a guy with a skull mask on right in my face. And that is the only time one of those haunted trails made me shriek, because I did not expect that.
It sounds like fun, but I haven't been back to one since then.
I don't know if you're in an urban location, if you have these. Any rural area has these, and I do love doing them.
Garfield and the National Safety Council have some tips for a safe Halloween. Wear brightly colored costumes, short enough to prevent tripping.
I'm wearing this orange cat costume.
Use face makeup or wear masks that are easy to see out of. Trick or treat in daylight and only visit the homes of people you know.
'Cause you know they'll give you more treats.
Your number 3 favorite tradition is related to this.
Yes, it is. My family participates in the haunted trail performed by a camping area.
Okay.
They have this whole big wooded area, and they do this haunted trail stuff.
How long have you been participating in this?
This will be the 2nd year. We did do a little pseudo-haunted trail at my dad's house one year to hand out candy. It's really fun to dress up as something scary and hide in the shadows and jump out at people.
Are you a boom-in? Do you just jump out and yell something at somebody?
That's what I did last year, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, asses and elbows everywhere. I had this one lady come up to me. She's like, I see you, motherfucker. Better not scare me. I see you, motherfucker.
So what you're telling me is you're a complete hypocrite. You love to scare people, but you're too chicken shit to get
scaring
scared
people,
yourself.
that shit ain't coming after me.
But I want to hear a little bit more about the haunted trail you would set up in your neighborhood on your front lawn for trick-or-treaters.
Well, it wasn't really like a haunted trail per se, but we were spooking them out the whole time they were walking down that little sidewalk to get up to the door to get candy. When I was a vampire that year we did that, I would say things to the kids like, nice to eat you.
Watch out for booligans.
Yeah, you know.
Obviously, when you're a young kid, trick-or-treating is the shit. That's where it's at. The entire Halloween season is building towards that. But when you're an adult, obviously you can't go out and trick-or-treat anymore unless you've got kids of your own. So instead, you hand it out, which is never as much fun. That's one of the reasons why we overcompensate and do a 2-month-long celebration of Halloween, because we no longer have that night.
Yeah.
Last year, I went over to a friend's house and I dressed up and I handed out candy. And it was so much fun. The whole time I'm thinking, this is the next generation of horror fans. It was the Babadook last year, and this little boy in an Iron Man costume, he looked like he was maybe 2. I had extensions on my fingers so they were long, and I put out my hands and I said, Happy Halloween or something. And this kid paused, looked at me, and then started walking away.
Speaking of scary things that we have seen as we were trick-or-treating, there was this witch. She had the scary lights and the spider webs going on, green glowing goo in her cauldron. She had the witch hackle down. It terrified me.
I remember back when I was a kid, the entire neighborhood went nuts for Halloween. And there was this one house that always really overdid it every year. And I remember one year, a guy and a woman, and they were both dressed up as witches. And they had a big cauldron, and the cauldron was full of candy. Really into it. They were cackling, they were doing the voices. What was scarier is they had a tree. Up against the tree was this guy that you thought was a dummy at first, but it was a dude in a costume. And if you took too long getting candy out of the cauldron, this guy would walk up to you and wave the axe at you and scare you. And it's like...
that's amazing.
We could do a whole episode about trick-or-treating memories, that's for fucking sure, but we've kind of wandered off topic from what you were talking about. Okay, this is an important one. My number 2 favorite Halloween tradition. This is my 6th year doing it. I call it the Halloween Mega Mix. I find a bunch of different clips on the internet. I find movie trailers, music videos, short films, commercials, things of that nature. I take all the stuff and I edit it together into a little movie. Usually burn it on a DVD. The original idea is that I would hand it out to all my friends, but these days I really just make it for you and me because other people aren't as cool as you, JD, and they don't get it.
Well, I get it, buddy.
I call it the Halloween Mega Mix. And like I said, this is my 6th year doing it. And I put an obscene amount of thought into this. From November 1st, I'm working on the next year's Mega Mix. I put a lot of time and effort into this.
No, I'm pretty sure you've already got videos laid out for next year's Mega Mix.
Yeah, I've already got stuff picked out, yeah. What are some of the things I include in the Mega Mix? What are some of the memorable ones that come to mind for you?
My favorite one that I've ever seen, there's 2, is the one where Elvira teaches you how to carve a pumpkin with a chainsaw.
That was amazing.
She turns around, it's magically carved right.
Yeah, she fucks up the pumpkin and then they do a cut and it's a perfect jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
Elvira's in every Mega Mix.
That clip particularly, I think is my favorite Elvira clip. My other favorite clip is the spooky, scary skeletons clip. I love that clip.
A video I found on YouTube of a little skeleton marionette, and somebody set it to spooky, scary skeletons.
We watch that Mega Mix particularly every year.
They vary in length. One year it was almost 2 hours, and you said this is too long. So the next year it was 70 minutes, and you said this is too short. Somewhere in the 90-100 minute is sort of the sweet spot for the Mega Mix.
Yeah.
The first year I did this, you said, oh man, you were not looking forward to it. In the second year, you had a similar attitude where like, I don't know about this, man. But by the third year, you were kind of into it, and now you actually look forward to it every year.
Yeah, I do. It's like a special tradition that only you and I have. It also hits you right in the feels. So it's some old Halloween commercials that you saw as a kid.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part.
There's nostalgia, because I always try and dig up commercials from the early 90s.
If you're talking about my favorite part overall, it would be the old commercials.
Which is the majority of the Mega Mix. Obviously, commercials are usually only 30 seconds, so I can squeeze a lot of them in. Twice this year, we were both in a down, sour mood, and you said, hey man, let's just watch some old Mega Mixes. And that puts you in a happy, spooky Halloween mood.
Get you right in the right mood set.
I want to find a way to put those online. Maybe as private YouTube videos or something. I don't know. I'm looking into it.
I wonder what's up for Halloween. Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Blueberry.
This Halloween, we've got a spooky, spectacular collection of marshmallow shapes with bats, moons, books of magic, and bubbling cauldrons.
But that's not all. For a limited time, you can get free spooky monster masks that you can cut out of these specially marked boxes.
It'll be a spooky Halloween with Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Blueberry, a scary part of this complete breakfast.
What's your number 2 favorite Halloween tradition?
The monster cereals.
Every-
Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Boo Berry. They brought back Yummy Mummy and Fruit Brute that one year.
That was fucking magical.
Why didn't they keep it out?
I think we will see Fruit Brute and Yummy Mummy on shelves again at some point, but they'll only do it periodically.
No.
Back in the day, you could get Count Chocula year-round, and you might even be able to find Frankenberry and Boo Berry year-round. But now, they only come out in the autumn months. They only come out in September and October. That's the only time of year you can get that Boo Berry goodness.
Somehow I always forget that Boo Berry is your favorite.
You seem to remember Frankenberry is my favorite when it's my least favorite.
I guess it's because I don't like Boo Berry.
How can you not love Boo Berry? What's your favorite? Count Chocula?
Well, actually, my favorite was Fruit Brute.
Fruit Brute and Yummy Mummy were both awesome.
And that was really good, and I was really upset that they didn't bring it back.
What makes the monster cereal special is that sense of scarcity.
But they're not scarce like Ecto-Cooler was.
Yeah, it's not a goddamn multi-state.
It's not a witch hunt.
Scavenger
so
hunt.
to speak.
You can usually find them pretty easily, but there's always that sense of excitement when we go to the store. Oh man, are they going to have Count Chocula? And the thing is, I don't even really like cereal that much. I'm not a cereal guy at all. But I always got to have at least one bowl of each flavor every year. It is set in fucking stone.
We usually do that as breakfast on Saturday morning for the horror convention.
We do. That has become a tradition unto itself. I love it because this is the official cereal of Halloween.
Yeah. This year they have a great political theme going on.
Right, because of the election. And every year there's a different gimmick. Last year they had mask on the back of the boxes.
Well, they usually do masks.
Yeah, something like that. I always admire General Mills' advertising acumen, how they always cook up something cool. Every year it's sort of an event. And there are always a lot of Halloween snack foods. And
I like the Captain Crunch Halloween cereal, too.
Yeah,
green.
That's a tradition.
I found the Frosted Flakes.
Oh, yeah, the Halloween Frosted Flakes. What do you think?
But they're not chocolate-coated.
I thought they were.
No, they're just chocolate Frosted Flakes. I haven't had them, but I was reading it. They're just chocolate Frosted Flakes, and then they have
spooky marshmallows.
Bone marshmallows.
Yeah.
So
Looking forward to the monster cereals, another thing that makes this time of year fucking special. Is it really your number 2 favorite tradition?
Why, does that seem high?
It seems a little high.
I really look forward to having the monster cereals. And I bought us Count Chocula and Frankenberry, and then I went out and bought me my own box of Count Chocula so I could have it.
Oh, you don't want to share.
You always keep the boxes, and you don't...
Some of these are not set in stone. You asked me the same question at this time of year last year. I might give you different answers. This is set in stone. This is my number 1 favorite thing to do around Halloween. I look forward to it all year round. I obsess over it. It's called the 6 Weeks of Halloween. For years now, I've been following this guy who runs a blog. His internet name is Kernerex, and he started this tradition of the 6 weeks of Halloween. For 6 weeks, I think he starts on September 20th. I usually start on the 18th. But to the end of October, you watch as many horror movies and TV shows as possible. You pack in as many as you can. And I've been doing this for 8 years now, and it's become an intrinsic part of my Halloween season. I can't imagine a Halloween without the 6 weeks. I think last year I watched 106 things. That includes movies, individual TV episodes, and I review them on my blog, www.zacksfilmthoughts.blogspot.com. I love to do it. I watch as many horror movies and TV shows as I can this year. I'm finishing up Tales from the Crypt. I've been watching that for a couple years now. You can attest to this. On the day of Halloween, it's very rare for me to go anywhere. I just lock myself in the house and I just watch horror movies all day. To the point where you and I have had plans on Halloween and we've rescheduled them so as not to interrupt the 6 weeks. I watch as many movies from as many different decades and genres as possible. I really mix it up. Can't really tell you in words how much the 6 weeks of Halloween are an intrinsic part of my Halloween experience. And you don't get it, man. Recently we were discussing the 6 weeks and you said, man, I just don't get what's so fun about watching a movie and writing a book report on it.
Right. I don't understand. I mean, I understand watching the horror movies. I just hate writing reports in general.
Well, they're not reports, JD. The act of writing the review is fun for me. I like to give insight into why I enjoy this film, why I don't enjoy this film.
Okay, but we've had this argument before. Is a book report...
Well, it's not a book report, JD, because it's a movie. So it's a movie review. It's different.
Okay, but a book report is the same as a review.
No, the difference is the book report is you're in school and you're doing it for credit. I'm doing this for fun.
Okay, but there's people out there that do book reports for fun.
Well, good for those people. I think that's great.
But a book review would be the same as a book report, wouldn't it?
Not really. I think a report's a little more in-depth than a review. I can't control myself. I have to do it. So we come to your number one favorite Halloween tradition. And I think this is pretty definitively your favorite thing to do around the Halloween season.
Yes, it is.
By the time this happens, we are knee-deep in the season.
This usually takes place the first day of October.
For the last couple of years, they've been doing it the first weekend of October. And longtime listeners of the show know what we're talking about, because we do a podcast episode about it every year.
And that is the horror convention. Monster-mania is the one we usually go to.
Yeah. There are people out there who go to a convention all the time. There are people who go to conventions once a month. They fly out all over the country, and good for those people. I wish I had that kind of disposable income. For us, a couple of times we've gone to more than one convention, but that's sometimes stretching it a little thin. Usually there's one con we go to every year. It's in Baltimore, and it's Monster-mania. This is, our fifth or sixth Monster-mania together? I can't remember. I think it's our fifth one together.
Yes, I think so.
The first year was Aja, the second year was Adam West, third year was England, fourth year was last year. I guess George Romero was the big guest. And then this year, the big guest is Robert Englund again, but we've already met him. We've talked about it a lot, obviously, but what makes the experience of the horror convention so much fun for you?
I love going there and seeing the weird little crafts that people do. Obviously, I love meeting the guests. That's only like a small part of the reason why I go there. That ends up being where I spend the most money.
Yeah.
I love the VHS Preservation Society.
You know, the VHS Preservation Society, they're there every year. We've talked about them before. They're great.
I really love the quality of their DVDs. They're more like DVHSDs.
Well, yeah, because they rip the footage directly from the VHS tapes. They keep the trailers and the logos and stuff. It's like watching a VHS, but it's on a DVD.
Right. There's this mask vendor that I'm really hoping I get to buy a mask from this year.
Yeah, the super elaborate latex mask.
They're really cool. They're one of a kind.
That's sort of the thing with the convention. You can find stuff there that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Right. And you usually find a pretty good deal on a lot of the stuff.
And you never know what weird shit you're going to find.
Right. We have Holy Grails that we look for every year.
Fearsome Flush. That's mine this year.
I forget what mine is. I always forget.
For me, the thing with the horror convention is everything I love about the horror genre you can find at a horror con.
There's toys, there's board games, there's actors, there's movies, there's bootleg movies.
There's posters. Old books and magazines.
There's like character artwork. One year they had one where they turned you into a Cenobite.
I think that might have been at Horrifying, but yeah. When you're at the convention, you walk into this little alternate universe where it's horror stuff all the time. I wouldn't want to live there, but I absolutely adore visiting. I remember the first year I did a convention, and I got to the parking lot, and I could see people with Evil Dead and Friday the 13th and zombie bumper stickers and decorations on their car. And I just remember thinking, these are my people.
Well, I've outdone them this year.
Yeah, I think you have. Since you have 2 zombies and a ghost in your car windows.
I only have 1 zombie. The second zombie died rather quickly.
This is Hank 2.5.
Yeah, both Hank and Hank 2.0 have been buried.
What's the name of the ghost? Moaning Mona?
It's just Mona.
Mona. And the prices are high, and the experience of driving out there isn't always fun. But once you get there,
you're in bliss.
Yeah, you're walking on sunshine. Or rather, you're walking on hellfire. I don't know. It's sort of timely that we're doing this episode at this point. Next episode that comes out will probably be our report from this year's Monster-mania.
Hey.
Any other traditions we might have missed?
Well, we mentioned trick-or-treating.
Halloween's the one time of year where you're really encouraged. I mean, I know in America we're encouraged all the time to eat too many sweets, but Halloween is the only time of year when it's mandatory. For some people, Halloween's one day. For us, it's months. We live for it. Sometimes it feels like the only time of year where I really feel like I'm alive.
Yeah.
We could go on longer about it, but I think we'll cut it off here. As of this recording, the previous episode of the show isn't actually out yet. Things have been super hectic for me. I apologize. If you want to contact the Bangers and Mash Show, you may do so on Facebook, www.facebook.com/The Bangers and Mash Show. I'm on Twitter, @LastMonsterKid. If you want to join in my 6 weeks of Halloween celebration, once again, my movie review blog is www.zacksfilmthoughts.blogspot.com. As always, thank you to our listeners and our fans. We got a lot of really great feedback on the Hellraiser episode. Any other words you want to say, Mr. Mash?
Just one. Happy Halloween.
That's 2 words, but yes, I agree.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Everywhere up and down my street are people in costume yelling
trick or treat. But when you come knocking at my door, I'll keep you coming back for more. Trick or treat, trick or treat. I want something good to eat. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Shake your skeleton to the beat. I said, hey there, baby, don't you be surprised when the sun goes down. Now death will rise. Is it a nightmare or just a bad dream? Oh no, it's Halloween. Trick or treat, trick or treat. I want something good to eat. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Shake your skeleton to the beat. When I hear my doorbell ring, and I turn my porch light